All right, now we're going to go over some final detailing of the body and face. So I'm going to reinforce the as is, which is the front of the pelvis, and the back of the pelvis, the sacral triangle, making sure that these forms all kind of work together, reinforcing the abdomen. And now I'm going to go over the knee shape. And what I like to do when I'm first started sculpting knees was just kind of match the light when I'm sculpting it. And that was before I kind of understood what was going on under there. So if you're just beginning, attempt to sculpt knees with light. And once you start breaking it down into what's actually going on, it's much easier. Now I'm just reinforcing my hamstring shapes, pinching down the knee, making sure that the silhouette makes sense from the side. Just cleaning up those lines like I'd mentioned earlier, adding some volume here to the fat pads of the butt. Getting some of the, tightening up some of the arm details. Just going over silhouette and form. Making sure that belly doesn't look too flat from the side. Getting the corner of the ribs kind of working together. Reinforcing that scapula area. And now I'm just going over the whole model, making sure everything is looking tight and looking the way I want. And also making sure that the level of finish matches throughout the model. You definitely don't want to have just certain parts of your model looking finished and other parts not looking so finished. Again, going over some forearm detail. Getting the two fortune cookie forms between two fatty pieces of skin. Now I'm going to go over the feet, just like I did the hands earlier. Just keep going over it. Adding some toenails. Making sure I'm paying attention to the shape of the bones of the foot. And I'm kind of overdoing it here, but what I like to do is kind of be a bit heavy-handed at first, and then you can dial it all back and keep some of the subtler details. Sometimes what I like to do is make sure to kind of model it a little bit more masculine if I'm making a female model. But that way, all I have to do is make some subtle changes, subtle smoothing, smooth out all that detail back down and add a little bit more subtle curves to it. And then you're able to really get that female look with all the anatomy included. It's just, for me, it's much easier to see the anatomy on a male. Now I'm just fixing all sides of the silhouette of the foot. making sure my ankles are working and that the bony parts of the foot are working. I like to put like a cylinder underneath my feet to make sure that the weight is distributed correctly and that the feet are flat to the floor. Now I'm just adding some volume. Small bits of volume to the bony areas and the fatty areas of the toes. And again, this is looking very masculine right now, but I'm going to smooth it all out shortly. And again, if you're at your house, you can look at your own toes. If you're not at your house, perhaps don't take your feet out at work, but you know, you can definitely find some good reference of feet. All right, now I'm just going to go over everything again, sculpt with some light, make sure that my face is working. Make sure I go over each form again with a smaller brush. Reinforcing the cartilage of the nose, nasolabial fold, on top of the eyelids, making sure that my skull shape is enforced correctly. And I'm just trying to make my character's face, you know, she's a little bit stylized, but I'm just trying to nail a reaction from a distance. So I like to keep it a bit more stylized at first, especially with a medium res character, in order to really get an immediate reaction from the audience or your client, in this case your supervisor or your art director. So now I'm just joining some forms all over the face. Using my Displace special tool brush and dam standard to carve in some finer wrinkle detail. And I'm going to go over pores in another chapter. But for now, we're just going over the broadest amounts of detail, which includes, you know, the subtle wrinkles of the face, eyelids, lips. You know, making sure that the eye socket has proper structure to it. And now I'm just trying to scale up the head a little bit, just about 5%. And take a look at that. And now I think the body is good to go. Let's go ahead and start making the clothing.